everyone. I'm so excited that I'm here with Chris today. We've got a big action-packed show, and
Yes.
we got a lot happening in the sky. And we'll start with that because I want to bring in some subjects. But before that, I pulled some cards, and actually, Chris, you came out in my card.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna give the cards first, and you can tell me what you feel. But what's funny is I wish we were doing what's going on in the sky before I put the cards up, because what I'm going to tell you, and probably you're going to tell everybody, is about the Venus, Neptune, and Aries union there, Venus and Neptune in Aries,
Hmm.
and about so I look at it and I'll just say it real quick, and then you can say it, and I'll because the card is apropos to what we're going to say. But when I look at Venus, I think of, and that happened on, I think, May 2nd. So, but that's what that's what I'm feeling. And the Venus is all about love and beauty and everything. And Neptune is all about dreamy, and sometimes you can't see. It's all about the rose-colored glasses, but what happens at the end? So you've got love and dreamy associated with Aries, which is breaking through and putting out your hopes, dreams, and wishes and stuff, and making it happen. So how do you feel about that alignment?
Yeah, it's definitely time to get started. We have Saturn is almost in Aries too. It's like 2 degrees away. I think it's at like 20, yeah, 28 degrees, which is good. We definitely want Saturn with Neptune. And yeah, the North Node is like probably 4 degrees. I mean, the Node moves in the opposite direction, so it's moving away from all of that, but it is in the it's close. It's like a tight orb because Neptune is at like 1 degree. Venus is kind of far away now. It's like 4 degrees. So yeah, pretty interesting. But it's good for starting your dream for sure.
Well, so I'm looking at all that, and then we'll go into, then you're going to mix Scorpio in here with the full moon,
Right. Yeah.
probably where we're going next. But, how do you feel about that? I know I said, how do you feel about the alignment? But you're looking at Venus, which of course is in Taurus, we're in Taurus season, and
Yeah.
Venus runs Taurus. So you're looking at love and beauty and all kinds of feely things. And then we've got Neptune. A lot of people don't like Neptune, but without Neptune, like we can't really put out dreams and really, why always see clearly if you can, get the fog. So how do you feel just about those two alignments? And do you get a good warm feeling because they're now in Aries, or are you worried about it?
No, I love it. I think it's great. I would be worried if it was just Neptune. So if we didn't have Saturn also going into, Neptune's going to retrograde this year back into Pisces, then it'll move in on January 26th of next year, and it will be there with Saturn. And so I would be more worried. Neptune, whatever. I mean, sorry, Venus. I know you love Venus, but whatever is how I feel about Venus being there right now. I mean, I think it's good, but it's just like a minor planet. But having Saturn there, especially next year, will be really good because people will actually probably take action on whatever they're dreaming about.
But Saturn is father time. I don't like,
Yeah.
and I never ever like being made accountable for anything. And that's what, I feel. That's why when you say Saturn, I want to cringe. Like, give me Neptune. Let me live. Let me be
Hmm.
dream. Don't show me the real world. I love that dreamy feeling. But I do know that Saturn usually, and we've gotten off on it before got this, but Saturn, I feel, and I don't know what alignment it has to be in, is usually good for when you're in school, when you're learning things, because it makes you accountable. It makes you sit there and learn your lessons and learn everything. So sometimes I think when Saturn is in your chart in a certain alignment, it's good if you're learning something. Other than that, I want to take Saturn and I want to crush.
I mean, that would be like a ninth house placement. So, ninth house is like higher learning. So if you're in school and you have Saturn in your ninth house, it is good. Even if you were born with it in your ninth house. But, if it's transiting while you're going through school, it's good. But yeah, like I said, I think it'll be good for this because, it's like Aries is the initiator, but not the finisher. And,
Oh,
so, yeah, and that
I can't hear you.
my thing just tried to, can you hear me now?
Yes,
my
yes.
my thing was trying to get me to turn something on. I don't know what that was, but yeah. So I think it'll be good because it'll make people see something through to the end.
And I love that. So we'll look at the placements in a minute. So the card I pulled, and the reason why I went into it this soon is I pulled, it's the card that says open your arms to receiving.
Hmm.
You for help and now open so that you can receive it. Well, isn't that what we're doing with, if you looked at Venus, the really absolutely loving and beautiful planet going into Neptune, which is dreamy, about putting your dreams forward. This would say you've got to be open to receive it in order to really feel what those alignments are. So, and then I pulled you, Chris.
Oh, there we go. The
So maybe
fish.
this is a message for you. The fish, and I love this deck, it's kind of small, but the fish to me always shows Pisces. So, and because I think of you, and the fish is in a beautiful alignment with each other,
Hmm.
both going the opposite way. So that means that, you'll have some decisions that you're going to make. There are going to be some good that you really should take and some that you really need to leave alone. And these fish are kind of swimming in a circle, starting to swim in a circle. So it means that you're starting to think and starting to put in action, everyone, what you need to do next. And with this receiving, it shows me the Aries part of what we just talked about. And that is put your stuff forward. Now's the time. Now, I don't know, looking at the rest of the zodiac or the rest of astrology, how do you feel about putting this fish? Besides that, I think it's you. So I really believe that this, it says open to receiving. And I think this is you. You need to open to receive, Chris, because I know you give a lot. And now it's time for you to receive. And that's the message. When I saw this fish, I said, oh, God. And this is who came on. But how do you feel about those two statements?
Yeah, I think it's very true because the fish is the king of diamonds in the Lenormand, and the fish is sometimes about a process. Fish, they go downstream, sometimes they have to swim upstream. It's like I used to, when I was in high school, the first year of high school, I was in FFA, the Future Farmers of America. This is a joke that they make. And so we had aquaculture was one of the classes we had to take. And if you hold a fish like a trout that's bred in aquaculture, they feel very squishy. They don't feel like you hold a wild trout and it feels like a chunk, a mass, right? And so the fish that are aquacultured, they don't have to like swim around, they don't have to swim against stream, so they get like mushy, they get weak, right? And so that's how I always think of the King of Diamonds in the Lenormand is that sometimes you have to swim upstream to build that strength to create something solid. That's exactly what I would be doing with Neptune and Aries is making something solid, but also having a process. Like how do you do that?
I love that. See,
Yeah,
I pull the cards for a reason.
there
So,
you go.
and you want to, and you know what's really funny about aquaculture, and I can't believe you said that, but many years ago, we have a beach house, and they were starting aquaculture in St. George Island because of the oyster. I don't know if you know anything
Oh
about.
yeah.
Okay, so they were starting an aquaculture because the oyster farmers were fishing out, and now you had a 5-year ban on it, but you had a
Yep.
5-year ban on collecting the real oysters, and they're supposed to be maybe letting it go now. But what they did was start an aquaculture, and the woman that was a head of aquaculture starting it rented our house. And the reason is, which is really interesting, because I never quite knew what it was, but now
Hmm.
a lot of the farmers, or we call them fish farmers, or whatever you call it,
Yeah.
got into it. And if you taste the difference, and now we've had a 5-year ban in Appalachia with, you can't, you can't harvest the oyster.
Right.
So the aquaculture became, after 20 years, the only method in Florida that you could eat the oysters. So I got a big, because I love oysters. I'm all about oysters. And I wish I didn't, because I would rather just eat plants. But when I tasted the difference, what a difference. I think the aquaculture is so much better. They're cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah.
Yeah, they're cleaner. Now, I'm not saying fish because I do know there's a difference, but I thought to myself, who wants those wild oysters? When you
Yeah.
have aquaculture and grow them, I always think of them like I hate to say this, but I always think that's why I don't like zoos, even though I
Mm.
understand them. You hate to keep something in captivity, grow it, need it. I think that's barbaric. But, with aquaculture, it might be the wave of the future. So,
Hmm.
I just had to put that out there. So what did Chris back then learning?
Yeah, there we go.
You'll understand where we're going.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. Thank you, Atisha. Yesterday, I came in my hat and sunglasses. I did.
Oh,
Today, I've got my pearls on. But I do want to tell everybody. I did want to bring up some things with Chris, and that's because I always love talking to him. He's got a brain the size of, I would
a
say,
pea.
no. You've got the size of the
The
universe.
size of a pearl.
No, because pearls are made of the universe, sweetie pie. So even if it was,
Yeah, that's right.
so to me, I love picking your brain, and the reason is some things came up this week we can go into, but and there's three topics I want to bring up before we actually go into some of the astrology. But one is I was going to start with string and with black holes, but I really want to talk about entanglement. And that has been on my mind because of things that happens in medicine. And I will tell you what
Mm.
my view is. Do you know and understand entanglement?
Yeah, yeah. If you have two particles separated and you spin this one over here, this one also will spin over here.
Do you, and so somebody said to me, if you have a particle here and a particle on Mars, this was brought up yesterday, that the particle on Mars would act like the particle down here. How do we
Yeah.
really know that?
We don't because the experiments where they do this, there's always an observer, right? So if someone is observing it, are they what are they observing? Are they is it happening because they're observing it, or is it not, or would it happen if they didn't?
And so how do you feel? Because I'm going to tell you some examples that we can prove, but how do
Yeah.
you feel about the theory of entanglement?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I brought this up in a reading the other day, Bonnie. I said, the telephone was invented twice. It was invented by the two people at the same time, Alexander Graham Bell and the other guy. I can't remember his name. But Alexander Graham Bell gets all the credit. But someone else, I think it was like in India or something, at the same exact time invented a telephone. They didn't have the internet back then, so how did they know? They basically both created the same invention
That's crazy.
at at exactly the same time.
That is amazing. And there's a
Yeah.
good example of entanglement. But, I've got to tell you something. Again, and I'm going to ask you this, can it be proven?
No, I don't think. Well, maybe when we're dead, if we ask God, that can be your one question to God when you die. You can say, "Is quantum entanglement real?"
Well, here's one that I can prove, okay, and it's medical. I mean, I can't prove it, but I feel
Right.
you need to hear it because maybe I'm wrong. My husband, who's a muggle, he doesn't believe in any metaphysics, and he says he doesn't, but I believe that listening to me, he has to have,
Yeah, he has to. Yeah.
has to have something absorbed in there.
Yeah.
And he's an Aquarius, so he's a forward thinker. But he believes in entanglement, and he's a doctor. So this is what he would say: my daughter, which moved to Kentucky. When he gets sick, and they have the same exact kind of DNA forms. When he gets something,
Oh.
so when he was sick with terrible allergies, all of a sudden she's sick with terrible allergies. Two different states, two different climates, two different people. But because their DNA is linked, and that'll bring us to the next subject, the DNA is linked. We think of that as entanglement. Did because some of him is there, did
Hmm.
did that now again, is that proof? Probably not, but that's a good example of the down here entanglement.
Right.
And I'm sure we could go into other people who they are in a different country, and all of a sudden you come down with this and you are attached to them, which brings me to the string theory. And then you come down with the same illness, or symptoms. So I love the one you just told me about the phone because I did not know that.
Yeah,
So that's interesting for everybody. And so entanglement is in the medical community. It is in the scientific community.
yeah,
Is right now being worked on.
yeah.
And what highly set and what do you feel is going? Do you feel that in the future we're going to use entanglement? How can it be used to our?
We already do. I mean, manifestation, right? So, if you start getting your particles spinning in the right direction, then you can manifest.
That is what I wanted to hear. So can you say it for everybody who?
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta hi him. I hope you're okay today. You got some issues over there, so I'm glad to see you. So please explain that again because there's a lot of people that do not understand one entanglement and two, you know, the things that it could help us with because we come up with theories, Chris, and then what
Yeah.
do we do with them and why do they matter? So you're actually giving us one that you can see matters. So please, elaborate on that if you can.
Yeah, I look at it as I have a number system. So I look at it as like a certain number. If you want to manifest something, you have to be, I think you have to be as close to 10 as you possibly can be. And so, I think that what that means is, you have to get your energy moving in that direction. So you have to adopt the habits, the beliefs, you can't just believe it and manifest something. But if you get moving in that direction, you will attract what you're trying to attract.
So how do you tell people, this is a good, because this came up yesterday. So when you say you have a 10 system, I don't know if you want to tell us what the 1 to 10 system is. And because I know that you have your own show and your own stuff that you do, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, if people say to you, Chris, you come in here and you say that, but how do I manifest it? And what are you talking about? I look and say, okay, I want to be rich. So I look and I think I'm matching that vibration. I'm happy. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get, but I'm not achieving it. So how do you, and rich is could be $1 or it could be 50 million.
Hmm.
People, $1 is rich. So how do you tell them and what is your system, your 10-step system or your 10 number system?
The best example I can give is like I see people all the time on social media where they will have a brand new channel, brand new Instagram, and they blow up really quickly. And maybe maybe I think what they're sharing isn't that great, but they'll build a following very, very quickly. But one thing I've noticed about those people is they like without realizing it, I think they are what they say they are. They really claim what they say. If they say I'm an expert on YouTube, there is no apologetic language that they use. For example, some people you'll see they'll like teach things and they'll be like, they'll say little things. Like I think we say little things we don't realize. Like we say things like even I say it. I'll be teaching something and I'll say I don't know if this is true. Those words, right? And so those little words knock me a little bit away from what I do know, right? So I think looking for people like examples like that, people who just truly act as if they are something, is the best example.
Okay, I think that's a great example, and I hope that everybody listened and could take notes. Again, and I know I don't want to press you, but what is your 10 system or you're not really?
Oh, yeah, it's not. I'm not really sure what my 10 step system is. I just know that we have to be a 10. That's what I should have said. That's what I know. And so I'm not sure what it is yet. It's still something I'm thinking about, but I think that it's sorry, I have something like in my shirt. It's like a little plastic piece or something and it's poking me right now.
I
But
mean, go get a scissors and cut it
I,
out.
I need to cut it out, but I think that it's like a combination of things. You can't just think that you are something and then you get it. I think it has to do with like the habits, the how you dress, even how you appear, how you act. It's all those things at once. Your emotions, how you feel about something, and the more you get closer and closer to embracing all that, the closer you'll get to getting what you want.
Well, here's Lisa said, what you think about is what you bring about. I like
Right.
that. Kind
Yep.
of, that's what you're saying. And that's a kind of neat way to say it. I pick up so many phrases. I picked up another phrase I want to tell everybody because it's going to go into the next subject. But I do love that about the manifesting because I think there's people who don't understand one about, entanglement, which we just talked about, and they're saying thank you for giving the explanation. And two is that if we want to be something, we've got to match that 10 to be,
Yeah.
because again, you can't say, I want to be a princess, and you can't like look like what kind of princess. So even if it's not about money, but it's about how you feel and how you project yourself. There are plenty of princess
I lost your audio. Can't hear
the
you.
way
Oh, there you are.
and they do everything. They actually are princesses. So I love that. If you looked at Shrek, here's a good example of
Mm.
Shrek, remember? And she looked like all of a sudden she's now married to Shrek, or she's with Shrek, and she becomes a beautiful princess. And actually, she wants to go back to being the old Shrek because then she matches him, which I thought was interesting. And I hope I've got that story right. Tomorrow I go for a brain scan. So if I don't, you'll know what happened. Okay. So the other thing I want to bring up is string theory, because somebody said something very interesting yesterday again about string theory. And I thought, I don't think that. But string theory, I'm going to let you start, doesn't mean that you're right or wrong. It means, what do you feel about string theory, and how do you describe string theory? I know there is a way, but I heard a different way yesterday. So, Chris, what do you feel about string theory, and how do you relate it to people and life?
Yeah, in string theory, we have all the particles. We were talking about particles. We have like, atom, then we go lower and lower, lower till we get to a quark. And then when we get to that, we have strings. And so strings are like the dimension, that we're in. And there's like, all these dimensions stacked on top of each other. And so the theory is that they all interact with each other. All the strings are vibrating. And yeah, that's string theory. That's string theory 101, string theory in a nutshell.
Well, I love that, because I got to tell you how I heard string theory yesterday, and I thought, I don't know, but to me, if it's a theory, then you can't prove it, so anybody can add to it or subtract from it. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty interesting. And I know that everybody will say, oh, that's the um, six things of separation. But how it was explained to me by someone was that string theory means that we are attached, we're literally connected to each other, like
Yeah.
strings. And strings meaning, and we all know that. I mean, I do anyway. We have chords that go like the chord from me to my kids, me to my friends, me to certain things that you have. And sometimes you have to, and Kelly's in the audience, she'll tell you, you have to pull those chords, because some of them are really detrimental to your heart. So, I understand that theory, but what I heard yesterday was, we are all attached, and we're attached by these strings. And so we really have no separation. It just depends
Hmm.
where the string is at any time. So let's say, in California, you have a string attached, and all we all do, we don't know who they're attached to, but we know that we're all connected because we are all really the same, and just living a different type of existence and experience. How does
Hmm.
that sound to you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right. I think we're all, the string, it's not like a string, I think it's just like a
Right.
energetic field, so we are all in it. We are it.
And then the other part of that was, we came down here and I said, well, then why is our strings here are attached to us? And I do believe in chords and strings. So I don't want anybody to think I don't. But so they said, this is Earth School and we're here to learn. And it's a really difficult school. And I said, well, then, maybe we all flunked and we're all here to learn. And no, actually, Bonnie, Earth School is really tough, and only the tough survive. So all the souls here right now are the really tough souls that came to learn lessons beyond what,
Hmm.
they've already learned. And I thought that was interesting, because I never thought about it. I always thought of it being punished in Earth School. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally resonate with that. I've always thought that. I mean, I've watched a lot of like NDE videos like over the years, and they all the people that have NDEs basically say that. But it's always felt true.
And how do you do? Why do you think you're here? What did you come to?
I have no freaking clue. I came kicking and screaming, Bonnie. This is my last time, so I'm done after this.
Well, I believe that anyway, because I think we go around the zodiac. I told you what
Yeah,
I
right.
And I think you were here for all of us. I think you were put here to enlighten us, and I don't think you really have the choice, and I don't think you had
Right.
the choice. I think you chose that choice. So that's why when I say you, your delight and your work are the same, one and the same,
Yeah.
because that's what you really came to do. You didn't come here to be, to live, do this, do that, then separate that to your job. You actually came to enlighten all of us, to enlighten the people, and that's your joy. And the reason is because that's what you came to do. Why I got on that subject, Spirit one, you probably knew it. But I always think the opposite with me, so it'll be funny what I think of me. But so when when you think about that, and you think of, are we going to come back again? Now we're on a different subject. I believe, and it might only be me, we all have to come and conquer the zodiac. Right? I told
Hmm.
you theory. So you might start as an Aries. It might take you 10,000 times you're here. But each time you're here, you have to master the qualities of that zodiac sign. And if you do, you can, you move on. If you don't, you'll be here until you do. So let's say you say you have three deacons of things. You might have to come
Yeah.
through to conquer each deacon. But now you're at Pisces, my
Yeah.
daughter. So for me, I don't know what deacon you are, but you might,
One, the first one.
okay, well, you might be coming back twice.
Two,
So,
two more. Yeah.
so I do believe once we hit that sign, the last sign of the zodiac, we have a choice because we're going to have to come back in Aries, which is the new kid again. So I do feel like you're right, in my theories, that you are a Pisces. You're getting ready to ascend to where you have the choice because you might not want to come back as that new child, which is to me Aries, the 0 to 5, and start again learning something. So I'm
Mm.
up there, but I'm a king because I got to go all the way around.
All the way around. I know. You're only four in.
I know. Well, the thing is that I've not been good in my lifetimes, Chris. That's why I'm being sent back here all the time. So after we talked about, that and the string theory, and you've got I'm hoping we give somebody a little insight about, entanglement and string theory for them to think about. Then there are the black holes. And this is
Yes.
what disturbs me the most.
I know. It's your favorite.
Yeah, I would love to fall into a black hole and fall into a different dimension. But what is your definition of a black hole?
Yeah, a black hole is a black hole. It's a point in space where, gravity is all sucked into the center. So I think that's what they are. I think that there's just another dimension inside of it.
So if you're sucked in to that
Yeah.
hole, where are you going?
If you're sucked into a black hole, that you reach the event horizon, right? And speaking of observers, to us outside observers, you're moving faster and faster, but to people on the outside, you are like frozen in place. So do you ever really get sucked in is the question.
Yeah, okay. So can you repeat that? Because there's somebody, whenever somebody's trying to get a hold of me, and I wish, for everybody
Oh, is that what is
that
happening?
is trying to get a hold of me, it stops my recording. But go ahead.
Yeah, you have your black hole, and then if you get sucked inside, to you, you're moving faster and faster into the center of the black hole. But to outside observers, to like if you were to watch a person, they would reach a point where it would just look like they were frozen in space. You would never actually see them move in.
Really?
Yes.
See, now that is really interesting, Chris, because I always felt that if you got to the black hole and you're sucked right in because you got too close, where are you going? And my view was always that, people say you're going to be on a different galaxy, you're going to be sucked into a different
Yeah.
galaxy. That separates the galaxies or the black holes. How does that feel to you? And if it doesn't feel right, you need to tell me because it's some theory that I also have.
Well, I mean, I think you would die if you actually did it, but if you could survive it, if you could survive it, I think you would be end up in another dimension.
Okay, so how many dimensions do you actually feel we have?
Endless, probably. I think science says we have like nine or something like that, but it's probably like endless.
Yeah. What about, do you feel like we might be sucked in, and this is where my theory goes, to different, and maybe the dimensions you're talking about are the same language that I use, is universes.
Yeah, yeah. That's, I mean, that's, some people have that theory that we are living inside of a black hole.
So I always believe, and again, I've been interrupted, but the thing is that really what I love about when I look at it, I look at that I could be transported to a different universe. If we looked at, oh, what is that show? Lost, Star Trek. Do
Yeah,
you remember they had that, little beam me up Scotty thing?
yeah, yeah,
Well, to me, um, I feel the only way we can get to that stage is with those black holes. It might be that we're going to be
yeah,
sucked right into the next, next dimension or the next universe. And where in the future we might be able to use those beam me up Scotty things, because I do believe that, it might be hundreds and hundreds of years and thousands of years, that it might be actually what happens. And right now, what we have as looking at possible proof in the future are those black holes.
yeah.
So, so now that I've done that and everything, get into the sky. Okay, so I know I'm going to let you tell us what's going on in the sky, and I'd like you to end so that we can start going into the different zodiacs with our full moon in Scorpio. So what do you have before the full moon?
There's actually not much going on other than, we already talked about Neptune, Venus, in Aries. Mercury will be leaving Aries soon, and then on top of that, is there anything else? I mean, Mars just cleared the shadow, which is good. So we're past all that Mars energy, although it's still in Leo. I'm not like the biggest fan of Mars in Leo because it's very hot-headed. It's more hot-headed than any of the other fire signs when Mars is in Leo. And so like it's funny because I've been telling people like no road rage and things like that. And like this week I've seen a ton of people road raging and stuff like that. Like in the news, there's been a bunch of stories about it and everything. So I tell people to be careful of that, of course. Then yeah, that's really it, other than the moon, the full moon.
So let me ask a question before we actually get to the full moon. So you had Aries, you mentioned Mercury, you mentioned oh, what was the one? Leo.
Mars and Leo, yeah.
All four are like war. They're like heavy,
Well,
like anger planets.
yeah, and we're seeing that in the world,
Yeah.
So
Well, when are they
yeah.
disperse?
Mm,
Never.
not for, Mars will leave
I like.
Leo, but I don't think that's the, I think there's too much other stuff going on. So, I think that there will still be craziness in the world for a while. Mostly because of Neptune. I also don't like, we have Chiron in Aries for a while longer, and Chiron's been in Aries for a long time. So Chiron is the wounded healer. And if you look at the, like, even, India just strike Pakistan, and when you think about these conflicts, they all have to do with deep wounds, right?
Yes. It's
So, and so that's
interesting.
my concern, personally, as a astrologer. Looking at the astrology is just Chiron, Chiron still being in Aries, and it's like these problems that will never be solved. Well, it's not that they never will; they will be solved. They need to be solved because Chiron is a wounded healer, so that people have to heal through the wound.
Right, but how long? Well, it's so funny. Him just asked me yesterday, which is why I asked him if he was okay. He was, I think, on the border. He's got some on
Oh,
India and Pakistan. I said, oh yes, there is going to be a conflict and skirmish, and we're going to have a lot, but it isn't going to be resolved in one day. The only thing I can tell you is I don't see a war. I think we're in World War III anyway, but I don't see a nuclear war between them. So, but I do think this is going to amp up, and maybe this is the reason why, and this is why we're seeing.
yeah, and the other thing to think about is that, technically we are in World War III, and not to scare anyone, but
We've been in.
it's, yeah, we've been in it, and the war, but what people have to realize is the war is different. It's,
Yeah.
Pluto in Aquarius, and so we are in like a technological war, and, that's probably what we'll see, even as far as war is concerned, but, there will be the war that we will see as Pluto moves through Aquarius is like, hacking, issues like that.
I love you saying that. Now, for everybody in India, and I see a lot of Addie and Suja, and of course him, there is conflict. And now you understand why. I think you all did anyway, but Chris just told us it's about old wounds. I couldn't figure it out. I knew it was old wounds, but
Yeah,
they've never really gotten along. But it is coming to a head. And I don't know that the head will be quick. I think this is going to be
yeah.
and that's going to go on and on. So please stay safe. You know, I just adore you all. In fact, I'm supposed to go to Adisha's wedding as soon as she gets engaged to.
There you go.
But I think we're all going, everyone on the show. So we want you to, and I know India's gonna do really well. So please be safe. I didn't do this show. I just will talk about it. I did some predictions the other show, and only when you ask me will I do that. But it's interesting that you said that, Chris, about the wounded healer, especially in Aries. Did you say it was an Aries?
Yeah, Aries. Yep.
Well, Aries is the god of war, isn't it?
Yeah, and and Mercury is right on top of it. It's like 1 degree separation, with Chiron. And so it's, mixed communication, mixed words, and Venus is getting close there. I can't really see this at this far away, but yeah, Venus is close, so or it's going to be close, I should say.
Yeah. How do you see it? And then I asked you see an end. You said no. But when does I know it'll be an end, but when does Chiron get out of is that going to
I
be like
I
20?
can't remember. It's like 2027, I think, is the date or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we have a little bit longer for that.
That I just look today and hope something changes. Anyway,
Yeah.
so let's go into the full moon then, because
Yeah.
otherwise I'll be on here for 5 hours. And I know I'm not sure you can. So what do you feel about, it's interesting that this full moon in Scorpio is coming right now, which is what, the 12th, I think?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting because the full moon in Scorpio asks you to like live your life honestly. It's like your deepest, darkest secrets, and you have to admit something to yourself, especially with this one. But it's crazy to me because Neptune just left Pisces, and then if you really want to get technical, we have another moon on the 26th, and that's when I think from the 26th until the end of the summer, things will actually be pretty good this year. I'm not saying perfect, but better. And so we have to like admit something to ourselves right now, and then when we get to that full moon, it's like the first full moon or the first new moon after the retrogrades, right? That's when we really truly clear retrograde energy. We've had retrograde since November, so whatever you've been feeling since November, you're clearing on the 26th, and probably like a new moon is like 5 days before, 5 days after, and so even maybe the 21st, right? People have some good things happening to them or starting to move in the right direction. But I think this moon in Scorpio is all about like admitting a truth to yourself. Neptune and Pisces is the big impossible dream. We've never had a cluster like this going on where we have so many retrogrades, and then on top of that, we have all these major planets moving at once. Again, I like literally like now is the time. I say this in all my readings, and people are sick of it, but I'm like this will never happen again for anyone that is here right now and on earth. So really it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to kind of live your truth.
I love that. And I know that everyone follows you. Every single person follows you. I keep, I haven't done it the last couple times, but Chris is amazing. Like I said, he's not here for himself. He's here for us. So everybody, and we'll do this and quickly, but if you know anybody who doesn't follow Chris, which I please go to Minnow Pond, go to Chris Reck. He's got a couple channels. I'm going to tell him to put, and he's supposed to announce something today, but who knows what that's going
Oh,
to be.
right.
So anyway, please go and follow him. I was born an ace of diamonds. So
Me too.
you were,
Yeah, February 24th, Ace of Diamonds.
Kelly's in there because that's the one that does Atlanta.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. So you're the opposite of me. I know he's got other stuff that you need to actually check out, and I'm going to let him tell you because I sound like a book. But go ahead, Chris. Can you tell everybody about your channels?
Yeah, Chris Reck, I share all my secrets there. ChrisReck.com, I share all my secrets there. And then Minopon Tarot right now.
I love it. And, like I said, you got to go find Chris Reck because Chris Reck is the reason probably a lot of us are all here, and that you know so much stuff because he brings so much to you. Anyway, with the new moon, I mean not new moon, sorry, with the full moon in Scorpio, Scorpio always scares me, even though every single one of my kids, friends, and everything else, and most readers are Scorpio. It doesn't scare me where I'm scared of them. I want to say, oh my goodness, this energy is so wonderful because I love when they can go to the bottom of the barrel and reinvent themselves and come right out on top. I mean, who does that? And they also run the sexual organs. So
Hmm.
the sexiest sign of the zodiac, and
Yes.
of them, but they are the most psychic. So for all you Scorpios out there, you got a full moon. What do they got to get rid of besides? Don't say sex. They're not going to ever be celibate.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of.
Well, the problem with this full moon is Uranus and Taurus, their opposite sign. So it's like I don't really like predicting things with Uranus and including full moons or moons or anything like that because it really could, it's like a lot of astrologers are considering this full moon to be slightly challenging, but it could not be with Uranus, opposing it basically, and we have the sun there as well in Taurus, so. I don't know. It's like probably for Scorpio themselves, it probably some sort of work change or, you know, um, creating more predictability at work, I would say.
You are so right. I could give you examples, but I won't because we've got to get into this. But you are absolutely right. I know people who right now are waiting for work, changing work, needs to hear from work. So that's pretty cool. I look at Scorpio and I'm thinking, what do they need to dump? And it's all about emotions for me. So I'm
Yeah,
looking at they have to dump what isn't serving them in all those areas because coming with the full moon, this is your chance, Scorpio, and everyone.
yeah,
It's a
everyone.
full moon to dump anything that is either something one, you're not going to be able to bring forward, and sometimes that's challenging, or two, something you don't need and been held on to, and three is you need to really take a look at yourself deep inside and bring up what's going to work for you in the next few months because it is going to be like Chris said, and I love that this summer might be wonderful for everybody. And I love that. And for all of you people who are Scorpios or Scorpios ascendant, you know what we're talking about. But we're allowed, even if we're not Scorpios, Chris, we're allowed to experience and breathe in the Scorpio energy, and I love that. So
Yep.
so can we go through and it'll be quick, but can we go through and I promise I won't. I promise everybody that I'll keep my close to oh I won't as possible. Can we start again? We'll start with Aries and we'll do it for the week of the full moon. So what do you?
Sure. For Aries, you have the King of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. This is like getting to work, Aries, and doing what works. King of Pentacles, he's like the card of convention, so he just does what works in life. And if I were an Aries, yeah, I would keep things simple. You have a lot of energy in your sign. Mercury, Chiron, Venus, Neptune, Saturn. So, or almost Saturn, I should say. It's not there yet. So, but it's close. It's at 26, 28 degrees actually. So 2 degrees away from Aries. So do what works, Aries.
I love that because I got and I've never gotten this, but I kind of like it, even though it says the clouds. Do you see above the
Yeah.
clouds?
Mm,
So I feel like Aries, you need to dump some stuff because that would be with we're looking at that full moon. It's time to dump what doesn't work for you, Aries, because everything Chris says will come. You just got to dump all the things and cloud to me means that you're in the sky, you're not really seeing them right now, but you've got to come back to reality, which would be the Neptunian drop of Neptune,
yeah.
and going into seeing what doesn't work because get rid of the clouds because good things are coming. Okay, I'm going to do it, Chris. So then we have Taurus.
Taurus, you have the Page of Pentacles and the Five of Wands. Taurus, I would say, what are you resisting learning with these two cards? I think that there are sometimes I think we do this. I do this where it's like I know I need to learn something about something, and I just don't want to do it. But I would like learn something new about, especially with conflict or anything that's causing conflict in your life with the Five of Wands. It's like you can learn past it. Is kind of what I get here.
I love it. And look at, I've got the ship.
Oh,
And
the ship.
It looks like maybe when you do get past it, your ships are coming in because as you see, this is a beautiful ship. I don't see, I see a little choppy water, but I see it all full of flowers, and it's alone in the universe there. So it is saying is you got to do the work to have your ships come in, and I,
Hmm.
for you, Taurus. And Taurus, I feel so close to Taurus because Taurus is also run by Venus. We're in Taurian season, so I love that. And me and Venus.
Yep.
I think I'm a Venusian.
Yep.
Okay. Next one is Gemini.
Gemini, you have the death card in the Six of Cups. So big change probably coming from Gemini. Jupiter's at like 22 degrees right now, Gemini. 22 degrees is the master builder number. So you could be building something new that makes you happy with the Six of Cups. And even though it'll be past 22 degrees by next week, I would still say, creating more happiness, doing more things that make you happy is what you should be focusing on.
I love that. And guess what? I tried to get rid of this card. It came out twice, card from before, and it is your ships are coming in.
There you
So
go.
when you're looking at this, Gemini, it is looking exactly what Chris said. And just do the work, and your ships are coming in, babe. And now it's me, Cancer.
Cancer, I feel like something's right in your face, Cancer, that you have to see. She's stuck, Eight of Swords, self-imposed restriction, but it's like there's something right here. It could be a love offer, but doesn't have to be. I'm actually looking at your chart right now, trying to figure out what is going on for love for you. Um, so I mean, I think Cancers are meant to innovate their love life right now and not like to attract people who they're not going to be the mother to. So for those of you that want love, I think attracting someone you don't have to mother is a good idea. But also, I feel like something's trying to get your attention, Gemini, or here, Cancer, that you should pay attention to.
I love this. This card came out twice for me, and I love it and hate it at the same time. I love it because I know what it means intrinsically because of my spirit guides. But I should really look up the meaning. But it is a cross.
Yep.
And when you see the cross, I'm going to ask you what you think. It does remind me of one of the cards, Chris. But when I see the cross and it's enlightened like that, it means that you have to, you've got some roads, you're going up that road. It isn't always easy, and you're going to come to enlightenment. So for me, Cancer, you just got to keep going and keep going. And when you get to that crossroads, you'll be enlightened if when you decide to choose the right path. What do you see when you see a cross, Chris?
Yeah, the cross in the Lenormand is like having a cross to bear, and it's like needing to release that. And especially like if there is love coming in, you could still be mad at an ex when new love could be available to you. And it's like you're still carrying the burden of whatever the past person did. Eight of Swords, you're stuck. But this doesn't even have to be love. This could be money or something else. And it's about, letting go of those traumas.
Absolutely. And I love that because the cross I always think is a cross to bear and crossroads. So you're absolutely right, especially with love.
Yeah.
Looking at that, you're looking at, you have a choice. You either move forward and go into the enlightenment, or you take a different path and you might miss that what's coming in for you. Okay, Leo.
Leo, you have the Seven of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles. Actually, pretty amazing. I mean, this would be you committing, Seven of Wands card of conviction. So it says when you know that you can have your Ten of Pentacles, you will have it. But you have to believe it deep down into your soul, into your DNA. And so I feel a lot of you need to commit to the vision. I look at the Ten of Pentacles as a vision. It's like building, leaving a legacy, but it's your legacy, what you see that you are going to build. So I would commit to the vision here, Leo.
I love that. And Leo, I pulled for you. Oh my gosh, it should have come out for pulled for you the heart card.
There you go.
So for me, the ten of can you put up your card to the ten? What is it? The ten of
Ten of Pentacles, Seven of Wands.
Okay, so if you looked at the ten of pentacles, you see, isn't there a couple there?
Yeah,
Okay,
right here.
yeah, and they're happy. So I'm going to tell you, for me, if you're looking for love, Leo, and it's sometimes hard for you because because you step in your own way. But this is the card. So, and if it isn't about love, it's about what you love, what's going
Hmm.
for you, and what you love. And Chris also picked the seven of what is it, wands, right?
Wands, yeah.
So the seven of wands is fighting for, and getting on top. So, and then be happy. I think there's love coming your way if you're looking for it, Leo. And now comes, I got to scream first. Virgo.
Virgo, your reading looks good. You have the Judgment card and the Ten of Cups. I do think Virgos could be feeling happy for like the first time in a long time, especially having all that energy out of Pisces, your opposite sign. You dealt with a ton of Pisces garbage for months, years with Neptune there. So there could be a lot of happiness, a lot more clarity. Judgment card is understanding your purpose. You know, Virgo's purpose has been coming up a lot in their readings, but more as far as their identity is concerned, like who they think they are. So I think that you're getting clear on that, Virgo, and it'll probably make you happy with the Ten of Cups.
I love the Ten of Cups. That's my card. But Virgos always know they weigh me down. Any earth sign does. The Virgos are the worst for me because they make me the earth and think about it. And this card is really interesting that I pulled. And I'm thinking, I don't even want to tell you. But it's the moon. And the moon tells me that there's something you're not clear on. But once you get clear on it, happiness is on its way. I think that something's being hidden from you, looking at this card that you're not either dealing with or that you don't know yet. And once that comes to light, I see the Ten of Cups coming your way. So I agree with, well, I always agree with Chris, but Chris is spot on with that card. Okay, and now we're going to sexy Venus Libra.
Scorpio. Oh no, we're in Libra. Sorry. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
I was jumping ahead.
I'm supposed to be doing it this
Yeah. Libra, you have the devil and the three of wands. So looking at your chart, I mean, well, all that opposite energy in Aries, you've had Chiron in Aries for a long time. So it's like there are wounds that you are probably healing. These could be like toxic vibes, toxic energy, energy vampires. Three of wands says obviously you have to move. You have to move away from the energy. He has to get on the boats on the ocean here and go and explore something new. And I would say that that's probably definitely true for you, Libra. So I would be moving away from anything toxic and, moving, just going on adventures.
I love that. And maybe what you're moving away from is this card, the lady.
Yeah,
Either somebody in
could
your
be.
life, male or female, the lady could represent it, but that is not gonna, that isn't serving you well. And maybe it's time for you to move on from that relationship. I love the lady when I see her. She's very, very regal and she's looking, but when I pull it with this card and Chris was reading his, it almost makes me feel, especially with Venus in you, it makes
Mm,
me feel that there's a woman either coming to help you with moving forward, or that you need to look at your, if you're seeing somebody that it isn't working, it's about time you move past that. So, and now we're at sexy wonderful Scorpio.
Scorpio, you have good cards here. Wheel of Fortune, Two of Pentacles. It's like time to make a choice with the Two of Pentacles, but Wheel of Fortune is about choosing the direction of the wheel. So it's like this full moon could be good or bad. It's your choice here, Scorpio. And obviously, I would get the wheel spinning in the right direction. I said to Scorpio this week that and we were talking about this today, Bonnie. But you could have something right now. It's like if you wanted to, in speaking of manifestation and live in the dream. It's like people don't realize they can accomplish their dream on a very small level. Like if you wanted to open a restaurant, you could, invite your friends over, charge them $5 and to eat at your restaurant, at your house. You could live the dream right now. It might not be a restaurant, but you could still be kind of doing it. And if your friends won't pay you for your food, then don't open a restaurant. But if they will, then there's your sign, right? So you can do something right now, and that's what this is saying.
I love that. And what I put, well, of course, Scorpio and me, what can I say? And I love that. And the thing is, I love that, because we talk about, we see people and we read for people and we hear people from all walks of life, from people who've got mansions and are princesses. I can name you a few that to ones that are really hardworking and really try hard. And so you're all in between. So I love that analogy, Chris, because I have to tell you that if you're going to make it work and if you're going to limit your liability, that would be a great way. Try it on your friends, even reading, if you're thinking about,
Yeah.
doing metaphysics. So say, well, how am I going to open my own, metaphysics? How do I start reading? What do I charge? Hey, start doing it for your friends. See if they're going to come back and actually refer others. And then if you charge a few dollars and people are, standing in line, then, you can do this, on a big time basis. What I pulled for you is the fox. What's fun?
Mm,
I look at the fox and I happen to love foxes, but I
yeah.
eat other animals and I'm not sure I love that. I see this fox, it kind of looks exactly like Scorpio.
Hmm.
Eyes, it's like not trusting. That fox looks like I'm standing back, I'm watching you, and I'm not making my move until I'm sure. So for you, Scorpio, that's what I'm going to say. I'm standing back, I'm watching what's going on, and when I need to make my move, I will. And I love that for you, Scorpio.
Mm.
Because that's you anyway. You're secretive.
Hmm.
They're secretive to, they say, oh, well, I don't have any secrets, but they never ever tell you the full story. They hold back just a little piece for themselves and they smile inside and go, oh, well, they don't know that. So total Scorpio. And for any Scorpios that say it isn't you, I'd like to challenge that. So then we're going to go to fun loving and world traveling when you can, Sagittarius.
Sag, you have the Ace of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, this is about like letting go of some sort of past truth or embracing a new truth. So the Ace of Swords is the truth, and the truth will set you free with the Ace of Swords. So that's really what I feel like saying to Sag. It's like, are you holding on to something that isn't your truth? But there is a truth that exists so that you can have a victory. And that's what I would be embracing.
That's so funny that you say the truth will set you free for Sagittarius. But Sagittarius is the truth seeker. It's that,
Right, right, yeah.
yeah. So I think that is so cool when it matches up with what you say. But, it's really hard because they actually tell the truth to a fault. So a good example is they put their foot in their mouth a lot of times. And they really don't mean it meanly, but that's just a Sagittarius. And a lot of times they have to apologize, but it isn't for being wrong. It's just for opening their mouth when
Mouth, yeah.
and I love that about you, Sag. I am a Sag rising, so I can say that.
Hmm.
So what I picked out for you is the stork. For the Sagittarius, I know, if you're looking to get pregnant, here's the stork. If you're not looking to get pregnant, this could, and I'm going to go in three ways, then you need to protect yourself. It means the stork is coming.
Hmm.
And the stork hasn't really, it's contemplating. It's in the full moon. So this means to me around the full moon. Be careful if you're not looking to procreate. You might want some protection. The other thing about the stork is it brings life because, they carry the baby in their, to where they're supposed to be. So this might be the beginning of an idea or, something you're going to start a business. You're going to start a different job. This is a stork who's going to come to you and say, we can carry this off. It's a brand new idea, a brand new thing that could happen, a brand new launching a brand new, business, a brand new idea, or a brand, one or the other.
Mm.
Okay, and now we're going to get to, it's interesting because Sagittarius takes you all the way through December, only until we hit an earth sign, which is Capricorn. But the holidays are between the fire sign, the earth sign, all of the religious holidays, no matter what religion you are. So that to me is really interesting. That is like the key area of like the center of everything. And I don't know. So what do you have for Capricorn?
Capricorn, I feel like you have to make a decision. Capricorn, you have the Seven of Cups and the Three of Pentacles. This is like a prove it energy. He's proving something. It's a card of quality work. This guy here has done a good job with those Three Pentacles, but it's almost like you have to build this. Like, I think this is something that Capricorn has not built yet, but it's something you've dreamed of. So that's all I feel for Capricorn. I think they are building a dream, or, it doesn't have to be anything like super fantastic, but I think they're kind of like building something they've been thinking about.
I'm going to pull a card, but I don't want you to put your card away because that's one of the cards I ask you about all the time because I still get confused
Yeah.
about it and I'm just not going to. I understand the seven. It's that Three of Pentacles. What is it? Three of Pentacles.
Yeah.
First, need to save my life, and so we're going to go over that after I pull one for Capricorn. No, oh no, I just hate when they go awry here because then I gotta lose you. Okay, so I love this. This is the Lily Capricorn. This is a great card because it's one of my, I almost named my daughter Lily. I love lilies. They're one of my favorite flower. We have lilies of the valley. We have lilies, tiger lilies. We have African lilies. We have all kinds of lilies. And this to me is the nice and sweet and wonderful life. So I think Capricorn, that's where you're headed. And I feel like if you're honest with yourself and you can make it work, that's where you're headed. Now, if you could go into the three, because I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll go
Sure.
to February Aquarius. Kelly, I know you're waiting. Okay, go ahead.
The Three of Pentacles, he has built these three pentacles here, and this guy here. And, she has these plans right here that she's holding on to. So it's a card of quality work. He has done a good job with what he's built. We have a fire triangle right here, a water triangle right below it. So he went a little bit above and beyond with the project as well. The water triangle says he, like, infused it with a part of his dream or something that he was thinking about adding to it. So really, I just look at it as a card of teamwork and quality work.
I love that, but why do you think there's two people and he's only turned to one?
He's looking over at both. They're both looking at him, and
Okay,
he is looking over at both of them.
okay. And they have their hands out, don't they? And
One the lady is showing him the plans
okay.
right here. Yeah.
So above, so what we're looking at is above the happiness and what you've done, and then he's looking at them. So why is it, I don't understand the whole card. And can you repeat it? Is it one card? I just, one of the one cards that I just can't wrap my head around. When you're reading in a reading, how do you look at it?
Yeah, no, I look at it as a card of quality work. Like most of the time when I get it, I say that I look at it as a card of attention or recognition. He's looking for recognition for the work that he has done by those two people. So that's how I always read it.
Okay, so guess what? You
Yeah,
just gave me a clue, recognition. Okay,
recognition. Yeah.
I needed that word. Okay, and now go to Aquarius. We have an Aquarius sitting here, which is,
Oh,
and she's amazing, and she's probably not of this earth either. But Kelly, here you go, Aquarius.
Aquarius. This could be a good surprise, actually, even though we have the tower. This could be like the surprise of love entering into your life here, Aquarius. I also, I said something weird, and I did Aquarius's reading this morning, and I said something weird that just popped into my head that I felt like, Pisces is really the sign that's moving right now because Pisces has Jupiter in their fourth house. But I also felt like that I needed to say that Aquarius could be moving even though it's not their fourth house. Well, I mean, it could be depending when you're born, but I'm talking about, as a collective for Aquarius. And so some of them could be moving by surprise, which I think would be good. Um, this would be more truth, though, that the tower is reality, and we have to be honest about what reality is showing us to be happy with the Ace of Cups. So I do feel that for some Aquarius people. But like for Aquarius, I feel very different, though, because I feel like the challenge for Aquarius is tradition and what they think in their heads. Because it's like the world right now is saying you have to do these things, but Aquarius is being pulled in another direction, I would say, astrologically. So it could be anything. It's like the example I always use is if you're like 30 years old, maybe you think, oh my God, I'm not married. I'm 30 and I have to get married, but maybe not. Or maybe both things can be true. Both of those things could be true for Aquarius, but they have to decide what they want their reality to look like. And that's like the trick.
I love that because what the card I picked, I didn't know how I was going to actually fold this in, but I do, is the dog. And
Oh yeah.
the dog is loyalty to me.
Loyalty. Yeah.
So for me, you got to be loyal to yourself, Aquarius, which is sometimes hard because you give so much of yourself. You're a forward thinker. Sometimes you're not in the real world with yourself. So for
Hmm.
me, I love this. This is bringing it down to earth. It's bringing into reality. And with the dog, they are the most loyal of any, I don't know that they're the most loyal animal, but when you think of a dog, they're very loyal. So I have a feeling he was, Chris was saying something possibly about love. Did you bring in something about love, Chris, or no?
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like it could be a surprise connection. My thing with Aquarius for love is that I feel like they have to be willing to be loved is really what it is right now for Aquarius. They have to they have to accept it. And so that's what I get there.
Remember the acceptance card.
Yeah, yeah,
Beginning and the loyal, be loyal to yourself, be
yeah.
first and foremost, if you're loyal to yourself, you're honest with yourself. I
Hmm.
have to tell you that I happen to like the tower card. I think
Yeah,
that
me too.
because without the tower card we don't move, there's no movement.
Yeah. I always say we would all still be wearing diapers if we didn't have the Tower card. So the Tower card is a good card.
Better not say that because we go from diapers
The diapers, right? Yeah, exactly.
and I'm hoping I'm nowhere near that. But I do have to tell you that that uh, is there a alarm going off? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you give me 1 second?
Yes.
But because I've got to shut it off at something. Give me 1 second, please. Um, yeah. Oh my goodness. Gracious. Okay. It's I got it, everyone. Okay. So the thing about this, and the thing about it is what I love is that, sorry about that, my husband left his phone down, and every 12 o'clock the alarm goes off.
Oh, is that it?
I don't know, but you
Yeah.
know.
There you go.
So I know we got to move on. So now we're going to go to you,
Pisces.
Pisces.
Pisces, I think I said this to you on Bonnie's show once, that, that one of my favorite people of all time, Les Brown, says the richest place on earth is the graveyard because that is where ideas go to die. So I feel Pisces has to take action on their ideas. He's not doing anything. The Knight of Pentacles, my least favorite knight, even though he's not really bad, but he just isn't moving. And so I think you have to take action on your ideas, or it's like you are full of great potential. The High Priestess, everybody reads her as intuition and all this other stuff, but really she is a card of unlimited potential. She has no roof over her head, but she's supposed to be sitting in front of a temple, and but there's nothing there. So it represents unlimited potential. And I think Pisces is here this lifetime, especially Neptune and Pisces. Most people do not experience Neptune in every single sign. It takes 14 years for it to go through a sign. So you're not going to live to 158 or whatever it is. Maybe you might be right. I knew you were going to say that, so I had to jump in there because I knew Bonnie was going to say maybe not. So maybe you will, Pisces. But again, you have to execute on your ideas. I think Pisces have to stop doubting themselves or something with these two cards.
So funny because I pulled this card and oh my gosh, I want to laugh. It's the child card.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The child card is your inner self. I don't love when people say that. I don't know what an inner self is, and I don't know that I think about the inner child. I really believe it's your whole self is all you from a child, you from a to old age. I don't really separate them, but when I see that child here, I think of two things. One is you need, because they think that Pisces, which is you, is the old man of the zodiac. You think wise
Yes.
your years, you are way, you already know before anybody thinks, and you're very cautious in your life of what you do. A lot of the Pisces, it depends on the other two sides, but for me, this child has to come out, play a little. That child has to play. So for me, I'm going to tell you, Pisces, if it isn't that you're going to go out and play, because I don't think I could either, at least do something fun. And that child is, even if it's to go have ice cream, like, I so badly want an ice cream in a waffle cone, but I don't
Mm.
do it because I think, oh God, it's so fattening or whatever. So this is Pisces. See that child? Don't worry about the adult you are. Just do something you would like to do. Maybe that is from your childhood that makes you happy. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I can't remember what I was thinking about the other day. Oh, and this is going to drive me nuts now, but I was reading something about Pisces and the time that we're in right now. And I wish I could remember where I read it. Well, it was probably on some sort of astrology blog or something, but the person was saying, what they were basically saying is if there was ever a time where Pisces could literally attract by doing nothing, it would be right now. And it kind of goes along with that. Like if you're trying to do too much. But I still think Pisces has to take action. So it's not, this is going to be a little contradictory, but it's not so much about not taking action. I think it's more about if you are doing something for money, for example, you're probably not going to make money. If you're doing it because you actually want to do it, then you will make money. That's just one example. There's a million. And I think that's what that person was getting at, being more playful with life.
I love that, and there's your child card. But I have to
Yep.
do another thing, and then I know I've kept you way too long,
Oh,
and
no, it's fine.
over an hour with the show. But it is really funny that you said that because one of my friends who's a head of nursing, she's also a psychic medium. Her last day is today, I think. So
Ah,
what she said is they are trying to look for a replacement, and they're asking all the nurses, do you think you want to be, you know, a leader? So this woman came up to her and said, you know, they offered me the leadership. Do you think I could be a leader? And what she said is, well, do you think you could be a leader? And what reason why you want it? And the first thing she said was money. So my
Yeah.
friend who's intuitive said, after the interview, you know, after she goes, if they pick her, she won't be there long, because in order for you to want that job and be good at it, it should be both. First comes the allegiance to the job and helping people, and the money comes with it because there's money to that title. So that was just like what you were saying. If you're thinking only money, you probably won't get it. But that is
Yeah.
exactly, but you can incorporate it with it, whatever you think. Chris, I want to tell you something. You know, I enjoy having you on the
Thank you.
I love when you're here. We have a million questions, but I hope that because we didn't get to them, you all know that Chris really does get to them, because he goes through the zone
Yes.
and he offers so much on his website. But with this show, sometimes we get to them and sometimes we don't. But I think all of you know, when he answers the astrology for your sign, he's kind of giving you the answer. So I want to say hello to April. You know, April just had a birthday, and I want to
Yeah.
say birthday to April online. I did say happy birthday
Hmm.
to her before, but April, you were named April for a reason, that you are here. And I want to thank everybody for being here, including Chris, who doesn't have to be here. He does this for you, and he actually does it for me too, because if he
And
didn't,
for Bonnie, yes.
I come find him. So thank you, Chris. It's been a
Thank
fabulous,
you.
and I'll see you the next time. For all of you out there, please be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and go to Chris Reck and go to Minnow Pines. Follow him, give him a thumbs up. And for me, you know, Chris is right. There's something about Cancer that right now, and I hear your message, and YouTube is my next. Hopefully, Chris will help me get on there, but
Yep.
and April too. But I do believe that my Instagram, if you just follow me, you'll get the shows when I come on. And of course, Chris is the show. Him and I both have this show. So I want you to know that he not only has 2 shows, he probably doesn't admit it, he has 4 shows.
A lot. Yeah.